This is Tier 1 Lesson 6, Factoring by Division. So we're going to use the rational roots theorem to factor out a root from this cubic. So you can see that grouping is not going to work because if we factor out an x squared, we'd have 5 and 9, and then we're not going to be able to factor anything out to get a 5 and a 9. But we're going to use our rational roots. So we have factors of our constant term p. Well, our constant term is 1. So factors of 1 are just 1, and then divided by factors of our leading coefficient, 5. Well, the factors of 5 are just 5 and 1. So when we go to do our fraction, we can say 1 over 1 or 1 over 5. And 1 over 1 is just 1, aka plus and minus 1, plus and minus 5. So there's 4 options. So we can test all of these by plugging them in to our polynomial, right? So I'm going to start with 1. I'm going to say 5 times 1 cubed. And remember your parentheses. 9 times 1 squared plus 3 times 1 minus 1. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of that into my calculator. Well, since I got 16, that 1's not going to work, so let me try again with negative 1. So negative 1 worked, it gave me 0. So since the root is negative 1, the factor is x minus negative 1, aka x plus 1. And then I'm going to use long division. Note, you can use synthetic. I'm going to use long division in Tier 1, synthetic in Tier 2. So remember, we need to multiply this x to get 5x cubed. So I'm going to multiply it by 5x squared. And I distribute that through. So 5x squared times x is 5x cubed, and 5x squared times 1 is 5x squared. And then I subtract both. I distribute my subtraction. So 5x cubed minus 5x cubed is 0. 9x squared minus 5x squared is 4x squared. I bring down my 3x. And now I want to multiply x to get 4x squared. So I'm going to multiply it by plus positive 4x. And I'm going to distribute that through. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times 1 is 4x. I subtract both. 4x squared minus 4x squared is 0. 3x minus 4x is negative 1x. I bring down my negative 1. And now I need to multiply x plus 1 to get negative 1x. So I'm going to multiply it by negative 1. And again, distribute. So negative 1 times x, negative 1x. Negative 1 times 1, negative 1. And if I subtract, negative 1 minus minus makes this plus 1x, so 0x. Negative 1 minus minus makes this plus 1, so gives us 0. So we have a remainder of 0. So I factored it into x plus 1, right, from my root, and this is my leftover. 5x squared plus 4x minus 1.